Hey guys, I'm going to go over a few standardized test questions to help you just better prepare for the EOC. All right, so it says drag the appropriate answers from the choices given into the boxes provided. Answers may be used more than once. The table shows a partial list of XY values of a linear equation. So it tells us it's linear, so we know it's going to be a line. Gives us the table, and it says use the answer choices provided to complete the equation of the line for which all the points in the table are solutions. So all of these points have to be included in the line. So the easiest way to do that is to go to your calculator and let it write an equation for you. So first you have to enter the table. So go to Stat and hit Enter for Edit. And just to save a little time, you can see I've already put -1012 and 0246 in here. So I've got my table. So now I'm going to go back to Stat, and this time I'm going to calculate. So the first time you go to Stat, Edit to enter your table, and then you go to Calculate. It tells us we want a linear equation, so come down to number 4 and hit Enter. You're going to enter through that until it gives you a linear equation. Y equals mx plus b. In this case, they use a, but that's still your slope, and b is your y-intercept. So it gives you a is 2, so 2x plus b is 2. So both of these are 2. And it did say that you can use your answer more than once. All right, so if you graph this line, you will see that each one of those points is on that line. All right, this question says, drag the appropriate inequality into the space provided to complete the sentence. All right, it says Amira can spend at most $40 at the fair. All right, at most $40. That means she probably has $40, so she can spend 40 or less. You can't spend $45 if you only have 40. So at most means less than or equal to, okay? Less or equal. Can't write with this pen, sorry. All right, so it says it cost her $12 to enter the fair and $3 per ticket to ride the rides. The inequality represents the amount of money Amira has left to purchase tickets after she enters the fair. All right, so if it costs $12 to get in, that means that's automatically going to be deducted from her 40. So if you have 40 minus 12, that leaves you $28 to enter the fair. We also know that each ticket costs $3. So it's going to be $3 per ticket, and that's going to have to be less than or equal to 28. All right, so we can mark off all the ones that have 40 still because they didn't account for paying to get into the fair, and the 28 doesn't make sense. So we have 2 here. We have to look carefully at the signs. So this one has the 28 on the left and the 3t on the other side. So if we reverse this, it's going to say 28 is greater than or equal to 3t. Okay, so you can go ahead and divide by 3 to figure out how many tickets you could purchase, but they just left it in this format. So that means this one would be the correct answer. All right, the next question says Aaliyah gets paid $45 for 3 hours of tutoring. Eric tutors 5 hours and is paid $60. What is the difference between the hourly wages of Aaliyah and Eric in dollars? All right, so it's not asking for what each one of them or either one of them makes. It wants to know what is the difference. So if Aaliyah gets paid $45 for 3 hours, 45 divided by 3 is $15 an hour. 15 times 3 is 45. Eric gets paid $60 for 5 hours. 60 divided by 5 is 12. And what is the difference? The difference from 15 to 12 is $3. So for some reason it's not letting me write here, but $3 is the answer. All right, the next question says, complete the equation by dragging the correct answer from the choices provided into each box. The triangle shown has a perimeter of 57. Perimeter means you add up the sides and it equals 57. What are the lengths of the three sides? All right, so this is just an easy equation. We know the perimeter is 57. So we got equals 57. What equals 57? 2x plus 4x minus 7 plus x plus 15. So we need to solve for x before we can figure out what the side lengths are. So 2x plus 4x is 6x. 6x plus 1x is 7x. So I'm just doing this in my head. You don't have to do it in your head, but just to save a little time here. 15 minus 7. Those are like terms, so we're going to combine those as well. So 15 minus 7 is 8. And then we have to just solve. So subtract 8 from both sides. 7x equals 49. Divide by 7, x equals 7. And then you just take x and plug it in. What's 2 times x? 2 times 7 is 14. And then what's 4 times 7 minus 7? And then what's x, or 7 plus 15? And that's how you find each one of those. So anyways, I feel like you should be able to complete that. But just know that the perimeter means you add up the sides. And you just literally add up the sides and set it equal to 57 and then solve from there. All right, so this question you have to know your properties. All right, it says Jalicia solved a linear equation. Her work is in the box. All right, which property did Jalicia not use to solve the equation? So if we look at this, 2 times 3x and 2 times negative 3 gives you this. That is distributive property. And it says which one did she not use? So we know that we can eliminate distributive property. And then from here, she added 6 to both sides to get 24. So she used addition property. And the next step would be division. She's going to have to divide both sides by 6 in order to get x. So the only one that she did not use is the subtraction property. All right, next question. Roberto is simplifying the expression. His work is shown in the table. Which statement about Roberto's work is true? All right, so step 1, you've got the expression. In step 2, it looks like he has rearranged to put his like terms together. So make sure when you rearrange, you take the sign with it. So here he took negative 4x squared and moved it over here. He's got positive 3x and positive 2x. And he brought the negative 4 and the plus 3 down here together. So that step looks correct. All he did was rearrange it using associative and commutative property. All right, now he's going to use these to group together. So he's got 6 minus 4. Those are both x squared terms. And then he's got 3 plus 2. Those are both x terms. And then he should have plus negative 4 minus 3. So this step is incorrect because that negative looks like it's being distributed to the 4 and the 3, and the 3 was not negative. So between steps 2 and 3, steps 3 is incorrect. So let's see. Made a mistake between steps 1 and 2, steps 2 and 3 because he did not correctly factor the negative sign in the last term of step 3. So this looks like the right answer. He did not, because he did not add the coefficients. Because he added the coefficients incorrectly, that's not in step 3. So he did distribute that negative to both of those. See, negative 4 plus 3 would be negative 1, not negative 7. But that's not what he did in step 3. So Roberto did not make any mistakes. He did make a mistake. So the second answer here is the best or the correct answer. All right, the next question says Gabe is solving the equation. His steps are shown. What is most likely Gabe's next step in correctly solving the equation? All right, so he distributed here, and then he combined like terms. Negative 6 and 4 give you negative 2. And then he still has an x on both sides. So the next logical step would be to subtract 2 from both sides. You don't want to add 2x to both sides because if you do, you're going to get an incorrect answer. Remember, when you're going across an equal sign, you have to do the inverse operation. So since that's a plus 2x, you would have to subtract 2x from both sides. Now, you could add 2 to both sides, but if you add 2 to both sides, what's 2 plus negative 1? 2 plus negative 1 is not still negative 1. So that is incorrect. If you subtract 2x from 3x, you get x. X minus 2 equals negative 1. So the second answer is your best choice there. All right, the next question says Ellen and Monty are solving an equation. And it says which student is correct and why. All right, so you've got the quantity of x plus 3 squared minus 64 equals 0. Ellen argues that one way to solve the equation is to first multiply out the x plus 3 squared, simplify the result, and then factor the quadratic equation. All right, so you can do that because when you have x plus 3 squared, that's the same as x plus 3 times x plus 3. So you could multiply that out and then simplify by adding the negative 64 to your result and then factor the quadratic equation. Monty argues that the equation can be solved by adding 64. So you've got negative 64. You can add 64 to both sides and then take the square root. So a square root, remember, undoes something squared. So both of these students are correct, okay? So the correct answer here would be the first one. And you can solve these to make sure that 5 and negative 11 are correct. You can always put this in your graphing calculator and see that those answers are correct by finding the zeros or the x-intercepts. All right, this is the last question. It says drag the values into the space provided to correctly complete the equation. All right, so it says the equation x plus blank quantity squared equals blank is equivalent to the equation x squared minus 10x plus 24 equals 0. All right, so this is standard form and this is vertex form. So you should think completing the square. That's the easiest way to get to the answer. So start with your equation. You got x squared minus 10x plus 24 equals 0. So I'm going to subtract. I'm going to leave a blank here because I'm going to complete the square. And I'm going to subtract 24 to the other side. And then it's not going to let me put that here, but I need to add whatever I add to this side, I've got to add it to that side. I'll just put it underneath it. All right, so how do you complete the square? Remember, you take the b term, which is negative 10, you half it, and you square it. Half of negative 10 is negative 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. So I'm going to add 25 to both sides. Now I'm going to write this in factored form. So x minus 5 quantities squared equals negative 24 plus 25 is 1. I'm going to look back up here, and the equation is x plus blank. All right, this is a negative 5. So this is going to have to be plus a negative 5. So I'm going to have a negative 5 here. And that equals negative 24 plus 25 is a 1. So just a couple steps to do that. You just have to watch your signs. And again, they are tricky with standardized tests. And that's just one thing to look out for. So if you're not careful, you could have got the right answer and then just filled in the wrong number because you didn't review the sign here to make sure that the sign was correct. All right, hopefully this is helpful and good luck on getting some extra points. Have a good week.